It's safe to say Round 1 of Starfleet vs the Borg was an embarrassment for the fleet, as the Battle of Wolf 359 showed Starfleet was grossly unprepared for the threat and strength of the Borg. So, when Round 2 came along with the Battle of Sector 001, Starfleet were more prepared. 2373 saw the confrontation between the United Federation of Planets and the Borg Collective, again, when a Borg Cube attempted to assimilate Earth, again, for which ships fought at the battle. We know this is one of the engagements the newly launched Sovereign-class USS Enterprise-E proved its strength at, but what about the other ships? Well, this battle is where a few new classes of ship were introduced. Given you all liked our video of every ship at the Battle of Wolf 359, today we give you every ship at the Battle of Sector 001. Okay? Engage. Welcome to Trek Central, I'm your host Captain Jack, and let's get into it. But before we warp into this video, if you want to keep up to date on all the latest Star Trek news, lore, and more, make sure to hit that subscribe button to never miss a video from the team here at Trek Central. You can also follow us on social media for daily updates on the Star Trek universe. As always, please let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Oh, and also, out of all the ships we speak about today, which one would you like to personally command during the battle? For me, I think it has to be the Sovereign, but get commenting, we want to hear about it. Okay, engage. Around 30 Starfleet starships took part in the Battle of Sector 001, plus the Borg Cube. Oh, there is also another mysterious ship we'll talk about later on. Initially, the Battle of the Sector was envisioned to be massive. Ronald D. Moore, one of the movie writers, revealed that the actual final battle was around a quarter of the size of what the creative team envisioned. The Battle of Wolf 359 and the failure of the fleet led to many new starships being designed by Starfleet. Let's start with some of those. 6 Steamrunner-Class starships took place in the Battle of Sector 001. The class came in at a length of 375 meters, a width of 270.9 meters, and a height of 79.5 meters. Designed as a heavy frigate, each ship typically had a complement of 200 officers and crew. Given the battle focus, 4 Type 10 phaser emitters and 2 photon torpedo launchers were installed. 5 of these ships are unidentified during the battle. We do know that one of these was the USS Appalachia, NCC 52136. The Steamrunner-Class was in service to Starfleet by 2371, and quickly became a common fixture of the Federation fleet deployments. The Battle of Sector 001 being one of its first major deployments, before also being deployed in the Dominion War. While taking part in the battle, the USS Appalachia would survive the engagement. The ship would still be active in Starfleet by the dawn of the 25th century. In 2401, the starship participated in the Frontier Day celebrations at Sol Station, where it and the rest of the fleet were seized by the Borg Collective. It's presumed the Appalachia survived the engagement as well. While named USS Appalachia, the ship was originally supposed to be called the Steamrunner. Eventually, during the approval process, the R got dropped and the ship became known as Steamrunner. This explains the class name. Alex Yeager designed the Steamrunner-Class for Star Trek First Contact. Yeager noted the design merges 2 different designs. The front source section of one ship combined with the catamaran nacelles and boom section of the other. 3 Norway-class starships took place in the battle. One of these was the USS Budapest, NCC 65923, while the other 2 were not identified. The Norway-class came in at a length of 364.77 meters, a width of 225.61 meters, and a height of 52.48 meters. Designated as a medium cruiser, the Norway was fitted with an armament consisting of 6 Type 10 phaser emitters and 2 photon torpedo launchers. A crew complement of 190 officers would typically be stationed on board. The ship also had a warp performance of 9.7 for 12 hours. Only the USS Budapest is named at the Battle of Sector 001. The ship survived the attempted Borg invasion, but what became of it after that is unknown. The Norway-class only appears in Star Trek First Contact. However, the ship design appears as an LCARS graphic in Star Trek Deep Space Nine and Star Trek Voyager. Originally, the Norway would have been included in the Deep Space Nine episode Sacrifice of the Angels, as it was a part of the design's ILM handed over to Paramount for use in the 6th season. However, the Norway was never again featured. This may have been due to the model needing a rework for more use on screen. Alex Yeager once again designed the Norway-class. The designer once referred to the ship as Voyager-esque, which makes sense when you look at the design profile. While never appearing on screen again, the Norway is playable in Star Trek Online and a few other older Star Trek video games. 3 Akira-Class starships were present in the Battle of Sector 001. USS Thunderchild, NCC 63549, led these ships. The Akira-Class came in at a length of 464.43 meters, a beam of 316.67 meters, and a height of 87.3 meters. As the Akira was designed for combat, there were 6 Type 10 phaser emitters installed and 2 photon torpedo launchers. Typically, 500 officers and crew would be stationed on board the ship of this class. It was able to sustain a top speed of warp 9.8 for 12 hours. Constructed at Utopia-Planitia Fleet Yards in 2371, the Akira-Class quickly became a common fixture in Starfleet battle deployments. The Battle of Sector 001 was the first proper engagement of the Akira-Class, where it proved its worth in the battle against the Borg Cube. Following this, more ships of the class were built and would prove to be a valuable asset in the Dominion War, with battles like Operation Return in 2374 and the Battle of Cardassia in 2375. The Akira-Class was still active within 2401, as Starfleet sent 4 ships of its class to join an armada opposing an unknown Borg vessel. They would meet up with the Sagan-class USS Stargazer. Later, in the same year, 18 ships would participate in Frontier Day celebrations. The class was recognized in the Federation Fleet Museum at Anthem Prime, as both the USS Sentinel and USS Wershing were placed on display there. Alex Yeager designed the Akira-Class and would refer to it as his gunship battlecruiser aircraft carrier. The Akira-Class was named after the anime fantasy film Akira. It would go on to inspire Doug Drexler in his design of the NX-class Enterprise for the Star Trek Enterprise series. The Akira-Class became a producer's favourite new ship design with Star Trek First Contact. This is made somewhat obvious by the higher resolution design for the ship model used in the Battle of Sector 001, as the ship was detailed for foreground use. The other new designs, Norway, Steamrunner and Saber-classes, were lower resolution CG models. The Akira-Class name is never actually mentioned on screen, but is derived from the film's production material. Including Star Trek First Contact, the Akira-Class has appeared 25 times in the Star Trek universe. 5 Saber-class starships took place in the battle, led by the USS Jaeger NCC 61947. Dimension-wise, the Saber-class had a length of 364.7 meters and a width of 225.61 meters, and a height of 52.48. Classed as a light cruiser, the Saber was fitted with 4 Type 10 phaser emitters and 2 photon torpedo launchers. Crew complement would typically consist of 40 officers and crew, which was small compared to the other starships of a similar size. As with the Norway, Akira and Steamrunner-Class, the Saber was a new design for Starfleet aimed at having more of a tactical focus. Ships of this class were constructed at Utopia-Planitia Fleet Yards around 2371. The Battle of Sector 001 was the first major deployment of the Saber-Class, and it proved extremely successful. As such, more of these ships were produced and deployed in several battles of the Dominion War. It's unknown how long the class stayed active for, as the USS Argo was seen as retired and within the Fleet Museum by 2401. While fighting and surviving the battle, the USS Jaeger has not been seen since the Battle of Sector 001. However, the presence of the Jaeger-type USS Jaeger in 2373 could perhaps imply that the Saber-class Jaeger was decommissioned shortly after the Battle of Sector 001, perhaps due to damage or something else. Alex Yeager designed the Saber-class starship for use in Star Trek First Contact. The USS Jaeger was named as a homage to the historical pilot, Chuck Yeager. Ship registry is actually also a reference to when Yeager broke the sound barrier. The design of the Saber-class was summed up by Yeager as having a very radical layout, but still keeping true to the basics of Star Trek starship design. One Soyuz-class, the USS Bozeman, took part in the battle. Yes, this is the same USS Bozeman encountered by the Galaxy-class USS Enterprise-D in 2368, when it almost collided with the ship after it had been displaced in time from 2278. During the Battle of Sector 001, the Bozeman, along with several other ships, assaulted the cube all the way to the Sol system. The Soyuz-class was based on the single hull configuration used by the Miranda-class. 2 nacelle pylons were mounted on the underside of the primary hull and connected to the warp nacelles. In an interesting design choice, the aft section would feature an enlarged tail section that protruded out behind the ship. Dual shuttle bays surrounded this. Outboard sensor pods were also mounted above each nacelle. The Soyuz design comes from Star Trek The Next Generation. It was a modification of the existing USS Reliant miniature from Star Trek The Wrath of Khan. It appeared in the Next Generation episode Cause and Effect.
Tough little ship. Little?
The USS Defiant would take part in the battle. This ship needs no introduction. Of course, Starfleet developed the Defiant-class in response to the Borg threat they had initially encountered in System J25 in 2365. The design was not ready by the time of the Battle of Wolf 359. The Battle of Sector 001 finally gave the USS Defiant a chance to do what it was designed for, as it took part in the engagement against a single Borg Cube, hellbent on the assimilation of Earth. Under the command of Lieutenant Commander Worf, the Defiant fought valiantly but was finally disabled by a tractor beam strike after sustaining massive battle damage. Main power and defense systems were offline. Fearing all was lost, Mr. Worf prepared to ram the critically damaged Defiant into the Borg Cube. Thankfully, the USS Enterprise-E arrived to assist the battered Federation fleet. With the Enterprise now in the battle, the Defiant lost life support after another hit from the cube. Thankfully, the crew was beamed on board the Enterprise, and the Defiant was left adrift, but salvageable. The ship was eventually repaired and returned to active operations at Deep Space Nine. Trek Central has previously done a full breakdown of the Defiant-Class on our YouTube channel. You can go and check that one out for more details on the ship. The inclusion of the USS Defiant in Star Trek First Contact actually replaced the USS Endeavour. This was done so that Mr. Worf could join the Enterprise crew amid the battle. Ronald D. Moore felt that the writers needed such an incentive before adding a Defiant-Class of any sort, mainly as he doubted the team would have put a Defiant-Class in there simply for eye candy. Filming of the Defiant involved using both a practical model and computer graphics. The fate of the Defiant in the aftermath of the Battle of Sector 001 became controversial. Ira Stephen Bear, showrunner of Star Trek Deep Space Nine, read an early script draft and initially read it as implying the Defiant was destroyed. Bear was distraught, but the writers did not clarify that the Defiant was not destroyed. The ship's destruction would prove inconvenient for the Deep Space Nine series, and not even involving a series cast, except Mr. Worf. Ronald D. Moore previously encountered how Ira ranted him for the destruction of the Defiant. Bear previously explained that he did not see the point of having a Defiant out of the battle, simply to kick the crap out of it. After he expressed his concern, the line of "tough little ship" was added, and then it was also added to explain the line about the Defiant being adrift but salvageable. It clears up any confusion.
Welcome aboard the Enterprise-E, Mr. Worf.
Thank you, sir. The Defiant.
Adrift, but salvageable.
3 Nebula-Class starships participated in the battle. Both the USS Lexington and USS Endeavour were involved, while the third Nebula-Class has never been identified. Originally, the battle was to incorporate the destruction of the USS Endeavour. However, this did not make it into the final film because the Endeavour survived the engagement. While present, we did not actually see the Endeavour. The scriptwriters replaced the ship with the USS Defiant so Mr. Worf could join the Enterprise crew. Dialogue referring to the Endeavour can still be heard during the incident. The Nebula-Class USS Lexington sustained heavy casualties in the opening of the battle, listing 96 dead and 22 wounded. Ultimately, the Lexington would be retired and displayed at the Fleet Museum over Anthem Prime by 2401. It's unknown what led to the retirement from service, perhaps the ship sustained heavy damage at the Battle of Sector 001. Construction of the Nebula-Class started as early as 2363, which introduced vessels such as the USS Phoenix, USS Sutherland, and USS Prometheus. The ship class was present in several major engagements against the Borg. For example, the Nebula-Class was present at the Battle of Wolf 359, and then again here at the Battle of Sector 001. Oh yes, we have to talk about the Sovereign-class USS Enterprise-E. The class was one of the most advanced designs Starfleet had built by the 2370s. Introduced in the early 2370s, the USS Enterprise-E was launched on stardate 49827.5. The first major engagement for the ship was the Battle of Sector 001, even after initially not taking part. Captain Jean-Luc Picard disobeyed orders and took the Enterprise into the fight. Thankfully, his decision proved successful as the arrival of the Enterprise-E turned the tide of the battle and saved the Defiant's crew after the ship was almost destroyed. Picard took command of the fleet. This led to the successful destruction of the Borg Cube. The Enterprise-E would give chase to an escaping Borg sphere, which entered a temporal vortex, which also caught the Enterprise. The following story takes place in Star Trek First Contact. If you've watched it, you know it. If you haven't, go watch it. Given that Star Trek First Contact introduced the new Enterprise, this impacted the designs of the other new ships, such as the Akira, Saber, Norway, and Steamrunner-Class, which we discussed earlier in the video. For example, Alex Yeager recalls how the design team was trying to create starships with distinctive silhouettes but would not be mistaken for the outline of the Enterprise. The creative team rightly did not want the new hero ship to be lost amongst the others. This also explains the radical difference in new ship designs. Finally, we have the other Starfleet ships that made up the Battle of Sector 001. During the engagement, 3 Oberth-class starships are seen in the battle. Why anyone put them there, I don't know. All 3 of these ships are unidentified, so we have no names or registries for them. There are also 2 unidentified Miranda-class starships taking part. Again, these also are unknown to us, so we have no names. Okay, while we've spoken about all the Starfleet ships, we can't forget the Borg Cube itself. This cube did cause massive damage to the Federation and Starfleet, as it rampaged into Federation space. This cube has no unique designation but was known to Starfleet. It would attack Earth much like the previous cube from the Battle of Wolf 359. What changed here was that the Borg Queen was on board this cube. She escaped on board a Borg sphere embedded inside the cube. The cube seemed to be a part of the Queen's ultimate plan to change time, and as such, change the course of human history. Thankfully, the USS Enterprise-E crew defeated the Borg Queen's attempt to change history and safely returned to the 24th century. Originally, there were discussions about the Borg ship being different. For example, Ricardo Delgado suggested that the large Borg ship be something like an obelisk with a Borg spear set into it. On screen is some concept artwork showing what this might look like. The concept did take inspiration from ancient Egyptian architecture. I mean, maybe this could work for a Stargate movie though. Now many of you will already know this, but another starship is seen in the Battle of Sector 001. The story behind this starts with the involvement of visual effects company, Industrial Light and Magic. This company has done a lot of work on the Star Wars films, and, as such, was appointed to help depict the Battle of Sector 001. Jonathan Frakes, who directed Star Trek First Contact, suggested that the battle sequence resembled Star Wars due to the involvement of ILM. As an in-joke, ILM visual effects supervisor, John Knoll, inserted a small digital Star Wars Millennium Falcon model into the battle. You have to look closely to see it flying near the Borg Cube. It's on screen right now. It's a small fun detail, but works really well. And be honest, did you spot it, or is this new to you? Comment your answers down below. Ultimately, the Battle of Sector 001 led to Starfleet losing a similar number of ships to the Battle of Wolf 359, despite the fact they had been more thoroughly prepared since the last encounter with the Borg. The destruction of so many ships left Starfleet stretched thin across the quadrant. Captain Sisko would later comment on this when the Dominion forces passed through the Bajoran wormhole into Cardassia. The Battle of Sector 001 and then the Dominion War also impacted major political changes into the Federation. Policies were changed and the mission of new members was accelerated. So, that is all the ships of the Battle of Sector 001. Out of interest, which ship would you like to take command of? Personally, I think it has to be the USS Enterprise-E. The Sovereign-Class is also a fantastic starship design. Like always, if you want to keep up to date on the latest Star Trek news, lore, and more, then make sure to hit that subscribe button to never miss a video from the team here at Trek Central. You can also follow us on social media or join our community Discord server. For now, I've been Captain Jack, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Live long and prosper, my friends. Goodbye.